Hey guys, welcome back. Orbomb here, bringing you another one of our, I guess, new card analysis, like live review. I don't know. I know you ought to call this, but the set list for Fairy Rises just came out. It's been a while since I've gone over a bunch of cards, just because I've been gone whenever a bunch of cards have been revealed, and I'm back. And instead of going over those individual pages, we have pretty much the whole set. I think this covers every card that I missed while I was gone. Once again, shout outs to PokePeach as always for being an amazing website with all sorts of greatness and whatnot. But I'm just gonna like take a quick look through all these cards. But before I get into it, definitely don't forget to drop a like in the video. Let me know what your favorite card is in this set that we're gonna go over right now. And yeah, subscribe if you haven't already. And also, hopefully I can get this out before the tournament, but we are hosting a PTCGO tournament on my live stream today at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. Go ahead and look up the time zone for your time. This should go up before the tournament starts, so if you guys want to join, there's still room to join. Just hop in the Discord, and in the Discord there's all the information. So but anyways, let's get right into this. So I haven't looked at too many of these cards. I did like a quick little overview, but that's about it. But excuse me guys, I did just wake up. But first of all, this Tangla, look at this artwork. He's got rubber band balls all around him. It isn't like the cutest thing in the whole world. This man is tripping. This man is literally tripping balls. Look at him. Look at him. He's literally tripping balls. Anyways, Tangela was whatever, but it's got 80 HP for a basic. That's pretty cool. Tangrowth is interesting. I'm gonna go ahead and jump to the end because this is what people were showing me earlier. But in the end, there's this cool new Prism Star Stadium, which I'm so glad that we're getting Prism Star Stadiums. They're so dope. This one is called Life Forest. Just like the other Prism Star Stadium, it can be discarded by the effects of like trainers, items or supporters, I should say. It doesn't affect the cards onto the stadium, so it can't be discarded with Field Blow or anything like that. You can only be bumped by a stadium or with the effect of an attack. Though once during your turn, that player may heal 60 damage or remove all special conditions from one of their grass Pokemon. So it's an interesting way to make grass decks bulkier. Which you guys know me, I love playing these bulky decks. You guys know how much I like that Virizion card, so maybe it could pair well with Virizion. Who knows? You can switch between Virizions and attack them and let them heal and stuff like that. Who knows? We'll have to see. But speaking of healing, we got Tangrowth here. Tangrowth is 140 HP, which is not super great. Its attack does 30 damage, but if this Pokemon is healed this turn, it does 130 more damage, which means with the choice band, you're hitting 190 for a grass DCE, which isn't awful. The only problem is that you have to figure out how you're going to heal every turn, because like, I don't know if you're going to be damaged all the time. So it's a pretty okay attack. It's pretty mediocre. I wouldn't play it, but it is something worth mentioning that it can't hit 190. Its other attack does 110, which is horrible. Which is definitely bad, but whatever. Okay, here's what a bunch of people are talking about. We got our boy Trico. This man Fallen. It's got an attack, Find a Friend. It's only 60 HP, which sucks, but it can search for grass type Pokemon, which is cool because it does help the consistency of these stage 2 decks. So since we have the other Sceptile that is immune to like Ultra Beast cards, which is pretty cool, pairs well with the Sceptile GX we're going to talk about. Grovyle is like super duper nice. It means that you can pretty much avoid playing Rare Candy altogether, since you can like take it easy. But its ability is you may search your deck for a grass Pokemon, reveal and put it into your hand. If you guys remember Fluffy Chomp from Legacy, it's literally my favorite Legacy deck. It has a Gabite that lets you search for Garch, lets you search for Dragon type Pokemon. This is a good way to search. Like you have one Grovyle down, you search for another Grovyle, search for another Grovyle, and then search for another Grovyle depending on how many Tricos you have, and then you use that last Grovyle to search for a Sceptile or another Trico or something like that. So it's an interesting way to just chain evolutions. If you have a bunch of basics down, which is pretty cool. It's definitely really useful for Grovyle. It's a really good ability. So let's follow up with the Sceptile, see if Sceptile's worth it in the end of the day. 230 HP, which is Mega Guardian, or not Mega Guardian, it's Gardevoir levels, which Gardevoir has seen success in the past. It could see success in this post rotation, so it's definitely a good HP number. This man is too close to the camera. Like he needs to I need you to back up, bro. It's got the, for a single grass energy, it does 60 damage and discards a special energy. Could be good. 60, 90 with a choice band, which is 180 with 2 hits. So it's definitely a good 2-hit KO attack for some decks. Not all decks, because there's still a lot of 190 HP Pokemon nowadays. But it's interesting nonetheless. Leaf Cyclone does 130 damage, and you can move a grass energy from this Pokemon to one of your bench Pokemon. It's interesting. It's cool because Sceptile has 1 retreat cost, right? So you can do a lot of like max push shenanigans. We do have that stadium we were talking about, because you're constantly moving energies. You only have a 1 retreat cost, so you can retreat easily. You've got some stuff going for you here with Sceptile GX. It's definitely not bad. The only problem I have with it is that it only hits for 130. With the choice band, you're hitting 160, and that's like not super good, because you're not really knocking anything out in 1 hit. I mean, it's cool if you're planning on spreading damage, I suppose. Like, it's definitely bulky. It's definitely got some stuff going for you. Like, you can constantly hit, and then you just play like 4 Guzmas and just pull up all the things that you hit before and finish them off and stuff like that. Mach Claws, Mach Cut is a good attack as far as like weakening things. Like, the whole point of this Sceptile is, I guess, not to OHKO, but to just constantly be putting damage on the board for easy cost. And then you have Jungle heal all damage from each of your Pokemon with grass energy attached to them. Like I said, it pairs really well with the Ultra Beast card with the other Sceptile. The other Sceptile prevents all damage to Pokemon that have all damage from Ultra Beast Pokemon from Pokemon that have any grass energies attached to them. So overall, I think Sceptile is pretty good. I don't hate it. It's definitely something worth testing, because it really depends on the placement of the meta to see if this card is any good. Because there's still decks that can hit 230. There's still Necrozma variants. Buzzwole is GX attack and hit 230. Buzzwole can also spread damage. So unless of course you're playing that Grass Stadium we just talked about, that's pretty useful in that case. But that's a Prism card, so it's not exactly the easiest thing to get out. Overall, I do like Sceptile. I need to make this video shorter, so I have to move on. But yeah, Sceptile. What do you guys think of Sceptile? I think Sceptile is really interesting. I definitely want to test it before I give like a confident reaction to the card, I guess. I don't know. My first reaction is I'm skeptical about how good it's gonna be, but I think it's definitely got a lot of potential. Silcoon is interesting because you search your deck for up to 4 in combination of Silcoon and Cast and put them onto your bench, so it's a good way to accelerate attackers. But like these Beautiflies and whatever the other one's called, Dustox, has never been historically good. Like this one, for a single energy, does 50 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon and 30 damage if this Pokemon is knocked out by damage from this attack. Prevent all effects of attacks including damage from this Pokemon. It's interesting, but overall I don't think it's that great. These, I don't know, it's not super great. Now here's something I do want to talk about. Nincada sucks because it only has 40 HP. This is like really bad, but Ninjask is really interesting. Because when you evolve in a Ninjask, you can play this card from your hand to evolve on your Pokemon, and then you may put a when you play this card from your hand to evolve on your Pokemon, you may put a Shedinja from your discard pile onto your bench, which is pretty cool because Shedinja we're going to talk about later, but it's a really, really interesting card. The only thing that sucks about this card is that it only hits for 40. And if heads, you do another 40 more damage, so whatever. We got Combi and Vespiquen. Sorry guys, I had to yawn. Combi does search your deck for the 3 Combi, put them onto your bench and shuffle your deck. I don't know what the expanded Combi does, but this might be a replacement for the expanded Combi. Actually, the expanded Combi plays DC. The expanded Vespiquen deck only plays DC in our center man. But Vespiquen here is 120 HP, and for 1 energy, it does do 120 damage. Very efficient. But if you don't have 5 grass Pokemon in your bench attack, does nothing. I don't like this card because people play Lele. It's really that simple. Like, unless I know we're getting that. There's a Nest Ball trainer card which is really, really good in this deck. I know we're getting that, but I don't know if that prevents you from playing Lele, because you still want to like Guzma command and stuff like that. So, meh. I'm not super excited about Vespiquen. Although I'll definitely do something with it because, you know, YouTube, yeah. We got Shaman here. Once during a turn, you may heal 20 damage from your active grass Pokemon. I definitely like this card. It really just depends. Like it'd be cool to like have that stadium and just like a bunch of Shamans on the bench and like constantly heal like 130 to 140 damage or something like that on your Pokemon. That could be really interesting. It really depends on how the meta is. If we have cards that hit that much damage all the time, then maybe Shaman's cool. Shaman's only have 70 HP though, which kind of sucks, but overall healing ability is pretty nice. We have a new Alolan Vulpix, and you guys know that I love me some Vulpix. Look at him hop around the snow. It's so cute. Look at that little fox. Look at him. Look at go. Looks so cute. Anyways, if you have any favorite Pokemon in place, it's Pokemon has no retreat cost. Meh. Nah, for 20 damage. Meh. I still play the Vulpix. But look at this one. You know what I need to do? I need to make a page to collect Vulpix. I need a page of a Alolan Vulpix collection. That's what I need. There's so many Alolan Vulpix now, bro. Anyways, here's the Shedinja I was talking about. It's only 40 HP, but that doesn't matter because you have this really cool ability, Life Vessel. Once during your turn, you may discard all cards attached to this Pokemon and attach it to one of your Pokemon as a Pokemon tool card. If that Pokemon this card is attached to is knocked out, your opponent takes one fewer prize card. That's really interesting with Ninjask because you evolve in a Ninjask and then you attach a Shedinja as a tool to your Ninjask, meaning you can attack and your opponent won't take prizes off it. There's still the issue of like Guzma being a thing because you always have to have another Pokemon on your bench because otherwise you will lose. Because they'll knock you out and then you have no more Pokemon left on your deck and your bench, which means you'll lose the game that way. But it's a cool way to like do damage and then not be punished. But you have to constantly be evolving Ninkatas into Ninjask, which is like pretty much impossible. I mean, you could do it, but it's not really worth it in the long run because you're only doing 40 damage, maybe 80, 70, maybe 110 with a choice band. I don't know, man. It's I don't think it's worth it. So. But it's really, really interesting. It's like super cool. So maybe we'll get a different Ninjask in the future that's better. And then Shedinja is gonna be like really strong. But then again, you have to use that Ninjask's ability. So I don't know. We'll have to see what happens in the future. But it's definitely a unique ability that I think is super dope. Another Sableye. This one's a Psychic type one. We don't see Psychic type Sableye often. Fast Hunt, if you go first, you can use attack on your first turn. Switch your deck for one card and put it into your hand. I like these first turn attacks, but realistically, are you ever going to play this card? Because what needs to happen is that you need to put it on your bench, put it active, attach an energy to it, and that's a lot of like support you have to put into a deck that usually doesn't need this kind of card. So I don't like this. I like the Sableye from Celestial Storm. That one's really cool. Like look at the top card of your deck and discard it if you want. You may discard it. I think that's pretty dope. But I don't like this Sableye too much. So moving on. Now this is a card I really, really like. Giratina Prism. No, this is not even a Prism card. It's just Giratina. This is super dope. Once during your turn, if this Pokemon is in your discard pile, you may play it onto your bench. Then put one damage counter on 2 of your opponent's bench Pokemon. This is a huge math fixer for a lot of decks. There's a lot of decks that can only hit 180. And then you play this Torn Door ability, and you put that one damage counter on Pokemon, and now all of a sudden you can hit like 190. Like let's just talk about Sceptile for a second. Like Sceptile, we just talked about how it can hit 160 with a choice band, and that's short of knocking out Lele's. If you use Giratina's ability, like you're not gonna be playing this deck in Sceptile, but it's just for like an example. If you use his ability, in Sceptile, you can put one damage counter on your opponent's Lele's, and now all of a sudden they're in range of being knocked out. Other cards this deck is useful. Let's think about it. Spread decks, like just being able to put that extra damage counter is pretty useful if you have space on your bench. The only problem with Giratina is that it's a heavy retreat cost, and it's not exactly the easiest card to remove from your bench. But if you can remove it from your bench, that could be really useful. I'm just trying to think of other decks I would really like this card. I definitely think Giratina is worth getting 4 of because this is like having the ability to put a Pokemon from your discard pile into your bench is good. Like this is going to be really cool and expanded. I was like imagine this in Mega Guardy, bro. This is extremely cool in Mega Guardy because it fixes your math by putting like I guess in some cases 4 damage counters on 2 of your opponent's Pokemon. Like you have the ability to manipulate pretty much 8 damage counters every single turn. And then you have cards like Execute that can go directly from your hand and back onto your bench. And there's no more Hex Maniac and expanded either. So if you like pop up like 4 Field Blowers or something, you can consistently get this Giratina combo out and then combine it with cards like Execute and Giratina, and now you have all this damage on the board. And that's the problem with Guardy, right? Guardy is sometimes short from taking knockouts. Let's think of an example. Like against Zoroark, Guardy hits, I don't remember how much Guardy hits now. I think it's 110. And you discard I think it's 110, and then you can discard all your Pokemon. I guess like let's just say in theory you hit 190. I think it is. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it hits 110, and then you can, if you discard, I'm assuming you play Skyfield, right? You discard all 8 of your Pokemon, you're hitting 190. Well, that's short of knocking out Zoroark because of both resistance and you're just short 20 damage, and you can't play Choice Band because you're a Mecha deck. Well, now if you put 4 damage counters on a Zoroark, you are exactly in range of knocking out Zoroark. Now you hit the exact amount because you're 20 short from damage and 20 short from resistance. Boom, bam, fixed because you put 4 damage counters on Zoroarks. Giratina is actually super duper cool. I love Mega Guardy in Expanded. I love the Despair Ray Gardevoir, so I can't wait to play around with this card. I know, let me know in the comments down below, because I'm really tired. It's like 6 AM. I just woke up. I'm trying to think of other cards that this deck would work with. The problem is that like decks in post rotation don't really have too much. You don't really have too much bench space to work with in a lot of decks. Its attack is interesting. 130 damage, but you put 4 damage counters on one of your own Pokemon, which isn't like super great. I guess like you could try to knock out your own Giratina, because I'm trying to think of this deck in like a Malamar build. First of all, you don't have any bench space in Malamar, so it's not like the easiest thing to do. But, you know, just food for thought. Let me know in the comments down below. I think this card's super interesting. We have Sigilyph GX here, which is also a card that people like. First of all, Sigilyph is one of my favorite Pokemon in 5th gen. I always nickname them Witakocha. I think it's such a cool Pokemon. But it has the attack ability mirror counter. It's only 170 HP. It's weak to lightning though, which is super cool for a psychic type Pokemon. Like psychic type Pokemon that are not weak to psychic always have some sort of advantage, but Zoroark's in the meta, right? And most of them are weak to dark, but this one's weak to lightnings, and there's no real lightning type attackers right now. I guess by the time this comes out, we'll have Zeraora, which is pretty bad. So I'll take that back. But its ability is really useful in its own right. Even if this Pokemon is your active Pokemon, is damaged by an attack from your opponent's GX or EX. Even if this Pokemon is knocked out, put damage counters on the attacking Pokemon equal to the damage done to this Pokemon. So like, it's not just like if you knock this thing out, you take 170 damage. If you knock this thing out, you take the damage you've done to it back. So in the case of Zeraora, you're hitting for weakness, which means you're probably doing like, I don't know how much Zeraora does, but probably a lot. Let's just assume 200 damage, right? Let's assume that he's only hitting you for 100 damage. You're taking 200 damage in return because of weakness, so that's pretty interesting. And that goes a lot to saying, that just says a lot about other cards too. Buzzwole hits you for 190. Of course, you have resistance, so that's only 170. So they hit 170 back on themselves. If they don't knock you out, you're always putting damage on the board. It's a good Pokemon to have active stalling because they have to hit you with a non-GX attacker. And sometimes we have decks that just don't have efficient non-GX attackers. So that's really, really useful in its own right. Its attack is Sonic Wing, does 80 damage and isn't affected by resistance. I always like cards that are not affected by resistance. It's pretty decent. You can hit 110 with a choice band, which is a 2-hit kill on a lot of things. Psychic DC, it's not bad. It's not a bad attack cost, especially since you'll be put in a position a lot where you're just not, where your opponent's just not attacking you. So overall, it's not too bad. Intercept GX does 60 damage times the number of energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon. They can punish some decks. It's pretty okay. I think these attacks with 3 attack costs, with a 3 attack cost, you hit them for 180, 210 with the choice band. That'll be not bad. The Div is pretty cool. I don't know what deck you'd play it in because I don't think it's like main attacker material. Maybe this is a card you play in, maybe this is one of those cards you play in Malamar. It's a good Pokemon to have in the active stalling while you set up on your bench because you can attack with it. Sonic Wing is definitely not bad. It's another Pokemon that can OHKO Buzzwole with weakness thanks to it with choice band, that is. So it's definitely not bad. I don't know, what do you guys think in the comments? Let me know. Now here's a Pokemon that's really interesting, that goes really well with Giratina. Yamask has 70 damage, its attack is Haunt, put 1 damage counter on your opponent's active Pokemon. But Coffee Grigus over here is 120 HP, which sucks, and is weak to Dark, which also sucks. But its attack is super interesting. Soul Juggling does 10 damage, and you can discard as many bench Pokemon as you like. The attack does 30 more damage for each bench Pokemon you discard in this way. So another card that I feel like is good in Expanded, not super good in Standard. If you discard 4 Pokemon, you're hitting what, 120, 130, 160 with a choice band. Of course, if they're all Giratinas, then you can add 40 more damage to that. So it's like with 200, you're still 10 short from knocking out things like Zoroark, and you're a Psychic type as well. So you're still 20. You're like going to be 20 more short after that. And you're weak to Zoroark anyway, so it's kind of like an auto loss. So I don't think it's really worth playing in Standard because Zoroark is still going to be a threat. But overall, I think it's really cool. Like imagine this in Expanded, right? You play like a single Malamar, and you just kind of discard these Giratinas while having like Sky Fueled up. You discard like extra Pokemon here and there. Only thing that sucks about this is that you have to constantly be setting up other Coffee Grigas because they're low HP. I still think that the Mega Guardy way is better because you have Mega Turbo and stuff like that. But I don't know, the Coffee Grigas is interesting. Let me know in the what you guys think. We got Litwick, who has Haunt. A lot of these Pokemon have Haunts. I know that they were talking about like maybe there's going to be a new Night March book for Haunt. I don't think so. Otherwise, they probably would have put it in this set. But 1 damage counter on your opponent's active Pokemon, whatever. Then this one has Haunt, put 3 damage counters on your opponent's active Pokemon. And then Chandelure has Spiral of Pain, 20 damage times the amount of damage counters on all of your opponent's Pokemon. All of your opponent's Pokemon. That's interesting. I just like thinking of Tapu Koko spread and then just boom, just knock some things out. Because that's like, if you have the full bench, that is, it's 120, which means you're hitting for 240. That's pretty interesting. Could be cool with counter energy too, because it's 2 psychics. Still stage 2 though, so I'm not the biggest fan of it. But overall, it's a pretty strong attack. And then Curse dropped its 4 damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon in any way you like. We got Meloetta, one of my favorite pokes. Look at this girl. Look at her sing. Flip a coin for each of your opponents that have sing attacks. This attack does 10 damage times the number of heads. It's not a good card. That's not a good card. But we got Alolan Ninetales GX. This is something I'm really excited about as a tech in the water one. I think the water one is still stronger, but its ability is super good. When you place Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon during your turn, you may search your deck for up to 2 item cards, reveal them and put them into your hand. It's a great way to search for things like Aqua Patches and Ultra Balls and things like that. Overall, it's pretty good. Like, it's a good way to just really keep your deck a little bit more consistent, giving you those exact knockouts that you need, things like that. Snow, if you want to play the fairy version though, Snowy Wind, 70 damage, takes 30 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon, bench Pokemon. It's not bad. Like, it's like a Jet Punch but stronger. And then Sublimation GX, if your opponent's active Pokemon is an Ultra Beast, it is knocked out. I didn't know that. That's pretty cool. You can just straight up knock out Ultra Beast. That's funny. Overall though, I think the card doesn't really have a good damage output, and a lot of decks are playing more Acerolas and are healing more. So I don't know. Like, the spread idea is always something I'm iffy about, unless you're like something really simple and easy and efficient like Tapu Koko. I've never been like the biggest fan of it, but I don't know. We'll see if this card's any good. All right, we got Jigglypuff here. Whatever. Let's take a look at the artwork though. Oh, he's like in a cake. That's funny. You got Wigglytuff, who is just, whoa, he is surprised. It's not interesting. I know we have these new Fairy Charm cards, so this can hit for 140, 170 with a Fairy. Oh, never mind. You have to have both a Fairy Charm and a Choice Band attached, which doesn't work, so never mind. Here's a card that people are liking. We got Raltier. For a Fairy Energy, you can put a supporter from your discard onto your hand. Still think you put the other ones because, you know, higher XP. We got Curlia here, which does nothing as well. But Gardevoir is what we're talking about. All right, so Gardevoir, it's a non-GX Gardevoir, which is pretty good. 130 HP, which is pretty mediocre. But you have a resistance. Oh, yeah, you have a resistance to dark, so I guess you don't get O-Code by any form of Zoroark, which is cool. You have Brilliant Arrow. Search your deck for. Actually, that's not true. You can, like, Devoured Field plus Kukui Zoroark can knock you out, so be wary. Brilliant Search is you search your deck for up to 3 cards and put them into your hand. It's just like, to me, that's like just worse Sylveon, because Sylveon's easier to set up. We have Sensitive Ray here, 70 plus damage. If you play a supporter card from your hand during this turn, this attack does 90 more damage. If your Choice Band touch, you're hitting for 190. So it's pretty cool. Fairy DCE means you can hit 190. I think that's definitely not bad. 190 is always a good number to hit. So do with that as you will. I don't know if you play this in Guardy. Maybe as a one-of tech, as a non-GX attacker, since we no longer have Gallade. And it's easy enough to accelerate because of your other Gardevoir's ability. So maybe it's worth giving it a try. I think so. The Dene, flip a coin if heads your opponent's active Pokemon is confused. If tails your opponent's active Pokemon is paralyzed. It's actually not bad. A flip that's paralysis, and then you can control with Fliptini, or you can confuse them. Either way, putting a static condition on your Pokemon that can potentially prevent them from attacking you next turn is pretty good. For a single Fairy Energy, it's not bad at all. It's not bad at all. It's a great pre-release card. Carbink here. 30 damage, prevent all effects of attacks, complete damage on this Pokemon by attacks of your opponent's Pokemon with abilities during your next turn. If the format becomes super ability reliant, then sure, it's not bad. You know, try and look at the positive about all these cards. Xerneas Prism Star is pretty cool. I actually really like this card. I saw this card a while ago. 160 HP is pretty good. Overall, being a fairy type is not bad. Once during your turn, if this Pokemon moves from your bench to become your active Pokemon, you may move any number of energy from your opponent's Pokemon to this Pokemon. from your other Pokemon, opponent's Pokemon to this Pokemon. Now, this is really interesting because it says when this Pokemon moves from your bench to become your active Pokemon, which means that it doesn't necessarily have to be retreated into it or switched into it. It just has to be moved from the bench to the active. So I don't think it works between turns. Like say a Pokemon got knocked down and you move this to the active, because I don't think if that's during your turn. I'm not too sure. Somebody let me know about the ruling about that. But the main reason why I like this card is because you can play it with Switch, Escape Rope, and in particular Guzma. So and then you can move all the energies. And then this card hits for 160. This Pokemon can't use Bright Horns during your next turn. Now imagine this card wasn't a Prism and you were allowed to play 2 of these cards and just switch constantly between 2 Xerneas Prism Stars. That'd be kind of dope. Hitting for 190, 3 energies on the board. It's definitely not bad. It's definitely a nice little card to have if your deck doesn't have that really strong damage output, but you play Fairy Energies. I definitely like Xerneas Prism Stars. Pretty cool. Which is another reason why I'm so iffy about playing this Guardy, by the way. That's why I was so iffy about it. I don't know if you'd play it, because this card can also hit 190. You have to play a supporter, of course, but this one takes a little bit more work to set up because you're evolving up from a Gardevoir, and that's one less Gardevoir with the GX ability. So that's why I'm iffy about that, because you can literally just play Xerneas Prism Star because it does the same damage output that you want, but it's a basic Pokemon. So as I said, you're probably only playing this card as a one-of anyways, and this card you're forced to play it as a one-of. So I think Xerneas Prism Star is better, but that's just me. Now this is interesting because we have so many Cutieflies and Ribombis in the format, and they're all really unique in their own way. And this is just another addition to it. And I think this one's probably the best Ribombee we have. 60 HP, they all have low HP, but Mystic Buzz is such a cool ability. As long as this Pokemon is on your bench, whenever your opponent plays a supporter card from their hand, prevent all effects of that card done to your fairy Pokemon in play. It just means that your opponent cannot play Guzma on you. And it also cannot Guzma the Ribombee because you're a fairy Pokemon. That's really interesting in the case of like, maybe you want to play like a stall deck and you don't want your opponent to Guzma up your massive HP Pokemon. Like I know we're having that new basic Wailord. Excuse me. And we have like Wishy-Washy GX and things like that. Overall, I think Ribombee is really, really, really useful. It's good for stall, and overall it's just good in fairy decks in general. Do you have space in it? Do you have space in your fairy deck to play it? Probably not. A lot of these fairy decks are evolution Pokemon, which means you don't have a lot of deck space in general. But I think this card's super useful. I know we have other Ribombees. I think one searches for energies, and I don't remember what the other one does. But I remember that they're all niche in their own way. And this just gets added to the deck. I would love to have a deck that just plays like a bunch of different Ribombees that are like a bunch of support Ribombees and like 1 or 2 main attackers. That could be really interesting. I'll have to look into that in the future because I don't actually remember what the Ribombees do right now. But it's pretty dope. I'm a fan. Alright, this video is getting too long. We got Morlul and Shiinotic. If this Pokemon is your active Pokemon is damaged by opponent's attack, that attacking Pokemon is now asleep. Meh. Rematch with the damage your opponent's active Pokemon sleep. Your opponent shuffles all energy attached to their Pokemon to their deck. That's not bad. Just 2 fairy energies, which is not great. We have a Mimikyu. We have a Mimikyu GX, 170 HP. It's got no weakness, no resistance. This man is Tapuin out here. No weakness or resistance. 1 retreat cost, which is good. Perplex, your opponent's active Pokemon is confused. Meh. Cascading Barrage, 10 damage attack does 30 more damage for each damage counter on your opponent's active Pokemon. Do I like that? I don't know. Like I said, it's just a really cool thing for spread decks again. Spread decks could use an attacker like this. It's a little bit easier to set up, I guess. I don't know. I don't know if I like it. I'm gonna have to try it out. There's so many cards I want to try on spread decks. This one's a basic, so it's not like awful to set up. It's only a 2 energy attack, which you have time to set up, I'm assuming. This attack does 30 more damage for each damage on your opponent's active Pokemon. So I don't know. We'll have to look into that. Dream Fear GX. Shuffle one of your opponent's best Pokemon. All cards attached into their deck. That's pretty okay. It's okay. We got Tapu Hehe. We got Tapu Lele. Another non-GX promo. Once during your turn, when you play attach a Fairy Charm to this Pokemon, you may leave your opponent's active Pokemon confused. I mean, like I said, it's an ability that can status, and statusing is never really bad, but the attack only does 70, so it's not really worth it. And you can't play Choice Band because you're playing the Fairy Charm, which we'll go over the Fairy Charms here soon. Tapu Fini. Flip a coin. If heads, your opponent shuffles their active Pokemon, all cards attached to it, into their deck. Wait, what? You can just win the game with a flip? I mean, welcome to Pokemon, I guess. This doesn't say your opponent. Excuse me. This doesn't say you have to. Your opponent has to have bench Pokemon. So like, I guess in theory, you could win the game like straight up by just constantly flipping their Pokemon back into their deck. So I'm gonna have to build a troll deck with Fliptini and like there's a new supporter that lets you attach fairy energies from your deck, and just constantly be trying to flip Pokemon back into their deck until they run out of Pokemon. I'm gonna have to play around with that. That's so interesting. I know, I feel like if you play fairy cards, you should be playing this card, because your opponent might be in that situation where they only have one Pokemon left, and then you could just win the game. But then again, it is a coin flip, so I can't. Never mind, I can't endorse it. Never mind. 100 damage and your opponent's Dr. Pokemon's not confused. It's not bad. Not bad at all. I definitely like this card more than I like the Lele. I'm definitely gonna try to grab me a couple Tapu PP. Kecleon. I do love these Kecleons with the unit energy abilities. This one's unit color. If this Pokemon has any fighting dark fairy attached to it, this Pokemon's type becomes fighting dark and fairy. It's for 60 for DCE, and I guess with a choice span, that's 90, which is 180, and then you can hit for these weaknesses. I don't think there's any Pokemon that cares about that number. Like, as far as fighting goes, you missed the knockout on Zoroark. As far as dark goes, I guess you do knock out Dawnwings, so that's decent, I guess. And as far as fairy goes, you miss a knockout on Ultra Necrozma, but you do knock out Rayquaza, so I don't know, it could be good. The only problem is you have to attach 2 energies to it, because one of them has to be the unit energy. So, I don't know. Let's talk about the trainers now. We got Netball here, which I'm really excited about. I like grass decks, so it's nice to have some grass support. It's your deck for basic grass Pokemon, or it has to be basic though, which kind of sucks. So it's like a worse nest ball. Not really, not like a worse nest ball, but it's got search your deck for basic grass Pokemon or a grass energy. Oh, wow, this card's okay. I thought it was a lot better than it was. I thought you could search for both a grass Pokemon and a grass energy. I thought we were just getting some crazy grass support. I guess not. Okay, so you have to search for a basic grass Pokemon or a grass energy, reveal and put into your hand. I mean, it's still worth playing if you play like a heavy grass deck. Like, I'm definitely playing this, and I'm definitely playing 4 of these in Sceptile. But I thought it was a little bit better than that. But it's fine. It's all good. Adventure Satchel. Search your deck for up to 2 Pokemon tool cards, reveal them, and put them into your hand. I like it. I was hoping that we would get more tool recursion, like shuffle tool cards back into your deck. That's what I was hoping to get. But we got this instead, which is not bad. I guess if there's decks that desperately need a choice band, you can play like 1 or 2 of these in that deck just to get your choice bands easier. We don't have too many amazing tools in the current format because we lost Floatstone, which was also like, this card would be really cool if you had Floatstone in the format, because that would help you just switch around easier without having to play like a million Floatstones. Although I guess in theory I'd rather play another Floatstone than another one of these, unless you play 4 Floatstones. Like, this is really cool in Garbodor for expanded. Like, this is amazing for Garbodor and expanded. You can just get your tools out easier. So Garbodor might see a higher amount of play in expanded. But as far as standard goes, man, I mean, obviously if you want to play a Fairy Charm deck, actually this is really cool for Silvally too, if Silvally sees play again. That's interesting. We have another tool here, Spell Tag. If this psychic Pokemon's card is attached to is knocked out by damage from your opponent's attack, put 4 damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon any way you like. Now, at first I was pretty mad about this card, but like, I think in the immediate new format, if this card's like, if people still play this way, it's pretty cool. Like, not a lot of people are gonna be playing Field Blower because there's no more Garbodor and there's no more Parallel City. So there's a lot of decks that just don't care about playing Field Blower anymore in their decks. So a Spell Tag could kind of take advantage of that, to where you can put more damage on the board to help spread damage, I guess. It's another card that could be good in spread as well, but the problem is there's not a lot of good spreading psychic type attackers besides Latios, and Latios is pretty niche. It's good for like hitting cards with weakness, I suppose, or 2 KO and 60 HP bonds, I guess. Well, it's not like bad by any means, but I don't know, it's interesting. I don't think I'd play it unless my deck really needed something like this card, so whatever. And here's where the Fairy Charms come into play. There are 3 of them. I think there's only 3 of them right now. We got Fairy Charm, Psychic. So what these cards do is it prevents all damage done to your fairy Pokemon this card is attached to by the attack of your opponent's Psychic, GX, or EX Pokemon. So you're immune to Psychic, EX, and GX by attaching this card. You're also immune to Fighting, EX, and GX when attaching this card, and Dragon, EX, and GX when attaching this card on your Fairy type Pokemon. I guess they're like really meta dependent, right? Like if these types take over the format, It's good. This is definitely, I don't know if it's super necessary to have this fairy charm for dragons, because you do hit things like Rayquaza and Ultra Necrozma for weakness. So I don't know if it's really worth playing the dragon one. The fighting one I could see, because in evolution decks, Buzzwole could be a problem, and having the ability to be immune to Buzzwole is pretty cool, but at the same time you have to find this card, which you do have the Satchel now, but if your deck is going to be playing all those extra pieces instead of consistently getting out a Gardevoir, I don't know how I feel about that. And then you have the Psychic one, which, you know, Mewmore exists, so this could be useful as well. So if you don't want to play Choice Band, you can always play these Fairy Charms instead, which could sometimes be useful. And if these Fairy Charms pick up play, then Field Blower will pick up play again, which means that decks will be forced to play Field Blower, which is definitely not like the worst thing in the world. We got 2 more cards up because we already went over the stadium. We got Morty here. Shout outs to Morty, top 10 gym leaders. Of top 10 gym leaders of all times, fight me. Morty's pretty cool. Your opponent reveals their hand, choose 2 cards you find there and shuffle them back into your deck. It's like, it's a weird card, right? Because it's disruption, but it's not like deck out disruption. You're just kind of stopping your opponent from doing stuff next turn. So it's more of like stall disruption than it is deck out disruption, which kind of like makes me not want to play this card, because if I'm playing disruption, I want to deck my opponent out. That's the goal most of the time. But it's one of those cards again that like could be really good in Zoroark, because there's so many turns where you don't need to play a draw supporter. So Morty is just a good way to disrupt your opponent from doing what they want next turn. So Morty is definitely something I'm still gonna get, because I want to try it out in Zoroark. It's kind of like got the delinquent effect, but you're not decking your opponent out. You're just disrupting them from doing what they want next turn. So I like Morty. I think Morty's cool, but I think Morty is too niche. I wouldn't play this in deck out decks. I would just play this in decks like Zoroark that have the space for it, that could love that disruption here and there. Then we got Mina. I love Mina. I think Mina is one of the greatest things of Sun and Moon. She's so cute. Look at her. She's so awesome. I love Mina. Search your deck for a fairy energy. Attach it to one of your Pokemon. So it's just an extra fairy attachment for the turn. That's not bad. There's some decks that need that second attachment just to get some support going. So I could see some decks playing like even 4 Minas, just like every turn, just attach an extra energy, just really put those damage on the board. Also, it doesn't have to be a fairy Pokemon. You can just attach it to any Pokemon. So if you're playing Pokemon and if you're playing a deck that uses fairy energies but not necessarily fairy Pokemon, Mina's pretty good too. I think it's a pretty cool card. But that's gonna be it as far as the set goes. Like we already talked about this last card here. So Life Forest. Overall, I think the set's got some pretty unique stuff to it. I wouldn't call this set the best set ever, but like Giratina is pretty cool. I like Giratina. I like Xerneas. There's a lot of cards I like here. But anyways, I'm gonna try to get this video out for you guys as soon as possible. So don't forget to drop a like if you haven't already. Subscribe, share all the good jazz. Let me know what you guys think about this set down below. Once again, shout out to PokeBeach as always for being a great site, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.